And welcome back to my channel, where today I have a very special unboxing where I'm gonna unbox some of the convention exclusive figures that I won during this past weekend Singapore Nationals Championship that was held by MintTCG at one of my local stores, Steam Board Game. And yeah, it's been a really fun weekend, and without further ado, the very first figure that I'm gonna unbox is the Justice League Fulcrum and Barnabas. Now this is one of the exclusive figures that was first released during last year as part of the Wonder Woman 80th anniversary set, where you can send I think maybe 10 or 20 of these barcodes of the set, and you can actually mail in to WizKids and they'll give you one of 4 random figures, which would be Fulcrum and Barnabas, Plastic Man, the Justice League animated series Lex Luthor Brainiac figure, as well as Gorilla Grodd. So let's take a look at this Fulcrum and Barnabas. He's a Justice League robot. I'm not sure why the Justice League needs a giant robot. I didn't get to read the story, but if I'm not wrong, it's from the Dark Metal series that was written by Scott Snyder and drawn by Greg Capullo. And here we have the inside of the card. This guy, he comes in at 285 points or 25 points. He has the Colossal Retaliation trait. And at 25 points, this figure is really amazing because he still has 11 attack and 3 damage prompt, along with 3 different team abilities, which is the Superman ally, Batman ally, and Justice League. As we can see the scalp over here, it looks really cool. I like how there are like different paint schemes for this robot, and even the wirings at the back is nicely painted. We see this claw hand, as well as the Batman cowl. And here we have the fireball that's coming out from the flamethrower of the Fulcrum and Barnabas. And let's turn him to the 25 point dial, because that will be the dial that I'll be playing this figure at. It's such a powerful figure. And yeah, made in 2020. This was supposed to be released a while back, but I'm finally so happy to get my hands on one. And now maybe the next thing I'm gonna unbox is well, let's unbox this box set, which is the Fantastic Thor's box set, which we will have all 4 members of the Fantastic Four who have come into possession of the Odin, the Thor powers, the powers of Mjolnir. So you see Invisible Woman on the box, who has Mjolnir, Mr. Fantastic in the Uru metal. Yeah, and we have Thing holding another Mjolnir. And I believe Johnny Storm. Oh, yeah, let's take a look at Johnny Storm over here. He's holding a Flyer Blade. I think that's a Surtur's sword. So yeah, let's take a look at this. This is one of the newly released convention figures that will be released in the upcoming conventions and tournaments for this year. So this is a newly released figure, yeah, for this year. So let's take a look at the cards over here. And here we have Invisible Woman. Now all these 4 figures come with a trait called the Fantastic Force, which is a trait of toughness, and they can reduce penetrating damage. And this is Invisible Woman. And they all come at 3-point values of 100, 75, and 50, with the Fantastic Four and Police Team ability. And here we have Thing. First the hammer, then the Thing, plasticity, running shot. Now this figure is really funny. And plasticity, running shot with 3 range. Yep. Not sure how the Thing is going to do it, but yeah, that's really going to be fun to try. And here we have the Uru Metal Mr. Fantastic, who has a Giant Reach 4, traded leadership. He has a really cool super senses, which is called the Liquid Uru Body. And here we have his 3-point values as well, at 50 points with TK and Outwit. And lastly, we have the Human Torch, the figure that I was looking forward to the most. So he has in possession of the Crown of Surtur and the Twilight Sword. The 50-point dial looks really cool. Yeah. With 3 clicks, though it's a 3 movement running shot. And let's take a look at the sculpts over here. I'm going to save the best for last, which is Invisible Woman. And the Thing looks really awesome. There's a nice weight to him. As you can see, the details of his rocks and Mjolnir as well. They even have the fur on top of his cloak. And yeah, still has that green base to indicate that this is one of the new sculpt increased figures. And let's take a look at Urumetal Mr. Fantastic, who really looks like Silver Surfer. You can see him, his leg is really straight for some reason. And yeah, I think one of the cool things about all these figures is that they all can fly, so they can carry each other around. And Mr. Fantastic, 50 points for a leadership figure, traded leadership. I think it's going to be seeing some play. And here we have the Crown of Surtur Human Torch, fantastic sculpt. I like how they do all these transparent, translucent plastic effects. You can see the fire and how they paint on the Crown of Surtur on him as well. And here we have the last fig with the best sculpt in this box, which has to be Invisible Woman Sue Storm. And you can see her holding Mjolnir as well. And I really love these lightning effects that they do. Quite a number of Thor figures actually do have these effects, such as, well, top of my head, I can think of the Jane Foster Thor, the Mighty Thor, as well as one of the recent figures that was the Odin Force Thor, the Herald Galactus Thor, that is the Chase from the Empire set. That's another beautiful sculpt, and I think this can contest with that. So it's really nice to have such an awesome sculpt in one of these boxes. And now we move on, before I move on to the last figure that I'll be unboxing, here are some of the convention exclusive figures that I won. Got Batman Jarro and Batman and Catwoman. I won't be opening them in this video. I only open them when I do find that I have a use for them. And here we have Ares, who was supposed to come out years ago. And let's take a look at the rest of the DC. Here we have the Power Woman from Kingdom Come. This was actually the participation figure. And we got the Gorilla Grodd and Brainiac and Lex Luthor that I mentioned that was released together with Fulcrum and Barnabas. Really happy to have Lex Luthor and Brainiac. I really love the Justice League Unlimited TV series. And here we have two figures. We have Deadpool the Duck. And this year's release figure, which is Spider-Hulk. I'll be opening this guy because it's one of the convention exclusive figures that I want. You can see there's a size difference as well. So this guy is going to be a bit bigger than most. Here we have the Old Man Hawkeye to go with Old Man Logan, and the new Punisher, who had stolen some of the Avengers gear. And one of the a highly sought after figure, which is Lady Phoenix. I still see her prices, the price of her is still very high in the secondary market. And speaking about Phoenix, the last figure that I'll be unboxing, which will be the Phoenix Sentinel over here. Now, as an X-Men fan, I was so excited when they announced that this figure is one of the convention exclusive figures. Even though I don't know anything about how the Sentinel came into possession of the Phoenix Force, the sculpt looks so awesome. We're going to spend a little bit more time to take a look at the sculpt, because all the dials that of all the figures that I've shown today, they are up on Clix Nexus and HC Realms, so you can actually take a look at all the powers closely. And let's take a look at his sculpt. Well, before that, let's take a quick view of his character card over here. I do remember you can play him at multiple point values, 75 points, which will be the main one that I'll be playing. So he has a trait when at the beginning of the turn, if he took damage since your last turn, you can use regen as free. Now that is a very, very scary power to have at like his 225 point down. Yeah, because you see at the third click of the 224 points and the last click, they both have those stop clicks. The stop click power is stop and impervious. So yeah, you can actually, if you play at 225, you can heal past the stop click. And he got penetrating damage that deals more damage to characters that share a keyword with. So it punishes opposing teams that are team. And let's take a look at the beautiful, beautiful sculpt. Now, one thing I really, really like about this is that the flames are like part of the Sentinel. It's like you can tell that the Sentinel is really on fire, like it's really burning from the fire of the phoenix. I like the Fulcrum Abominus, where you can see the flamethrower beam coming out from the hand. Now this fire is actually part of the sculpt itself. As you can see, it's burning through the fingers. I really like this attention to detail that they've done for this. And even though it's a simple color scheme of gold, gunmetal, and silver, I think they did an amazing job for this. And let's see, 75 point down. Oh, here's cosmic energy as well. So this figure is going to be really difficult to fight with, and it's going to be really fun to maybe pair him up with my Master Mode figure. Now, if you have a bit more time, actually I want to talk about my Nationals event. And yes, as you see over here, I do have all 8 Chase figures from the Disney Plus set. It's because I won the Singapore Nationals Championship. I'm really happy. It was a long day. I went undefeated. And besides all those convention figures that I won, I've also won the complete set of the Disney Plus set. I'm so happy, even though I do have like quite a bit of the figures already. Collecting the remaining chases is really a joy. I do not own Sicarian Iron Man, I do not own Collector, I do not own Agatha, I do not own Prime Vision. There's so many things I didn't own, especially those high dollar value items. So it's really nice to win everything and to be your Singapore Nationals champion. So to speak a little bit more about the event, I played a total of 5 rounds that day. The very first round, I went up against one of my friends, William, who is the store owner of Gallon Games. I do believe he's shifting to a newer venue, so I'm looking forward to play at his new place as well. The team that before I go on to the rounds that I play with, the team that I used was the Legacy Thanos, Molecule Man. I've used the Starter Watcher, who's at 40 points, as well as the Prime Captain Marvel and the Captain Carter Shield that will be equipped mostly on the Watcher. My sideline consisted of Skrull Spies and Sentinels just to fill up that numbers. And one thing I really wanted to play this team because it was quite easy to function, and I was expecting a long day, so I didn't want to play a team that was too complicated that might drain out my energy by the 3rd round. So weeks leading up to it, I did quite a bit of play testing, as well as talking to my friends on how to build a team. So this was the final team that I went with. So yeah, back to my very first game, I went up against William, who was using the Ultron Pym figure. If I recall correctly, he was playing a scientist team. I managed to position my figures quite well. So there were times where he wanted to come in for a running shot with his sunspot. He couldn't do so. And after a while, I managed to mind control his pieces like Ultron Pym to who had a 4 damage to take out the rest of his team. So that went quite well. I think I didn't lose any points at all, and I believe I scored his whole team actually. Yeah. So for my second game, I went up against my buddy Irvin, who had one of the teams that I was most afraid of. He was running Sicarian Iron Man, Agatha, Chase Agatha, as well as some pieces from the X-Men team, so that he could do the X-Men swap, and get himself Dazzler, who gave his team the Shield team ability as well. So the things that he brought in was Bishop, Maggot, and Venom Magneto. So I was up against the team that I was most afraid of because of Agatha. If I were to catch myself in the hex, in one of a hex bubble, that would be really devastating for Thanos because I would lose all my powers, and yeah, it would be a real uphill battle. So for this game, we actually played on the Krakoa map. He won map row even though he didn't have a team. And it was a really hard battle. I do remember gaining an early lead. yeah, I managed to take out his Agatha through some well-timed outwits where I outwitted Agatha's porting ability and subsequently hitting Agatha to a KO clicks. And yeah, so that was a really stressful second round. And when it came to the third round, I went up against my buddy Benjamin So. This one was also difficult. I play tested with him for like the longest time, and I went up against his scientist team as well, who was also using scientists. His team can kind of enter the front of your team by the second turn, so he could literally alpha strike almost any team. So he was running like double flashes, Teen Lantern, Prime Wrecker, Dr. Psycho, Red Sun, Lex Luthor, and I believe a few others like Alia Gregor. So it was a very close fought battle. I've only managed to won because I scored maybe about 10-20 points more than he did. And that was mainly due to him using the sideline ability to generate a Sentinel on his other end of the map. I managed to go over and KO that Sentinel. If not, the game was his. So I managed to squeak out a win right before the top 4 cut. And beginning of my game against Ben, so I also played on Krakoa map as well. He selected it. And for the top 4 cut, I was up against Irvin again for the second time against Agatha. Now this time I actually won map, so I brought him to one of the newer Disney Plus maps, the one where there are 2 trailers side by side from the scene of the Falcon and Winter Soldier Disney Plus series. So during my very first turn, I flew Thanos all the way to his side of the map, grabbed his Cloak of Levitation and came back to my side of the map because I knew the Cloak of Levitation is a vital part of his team for his Sicarian Iron Man to accelerate getting the object tokens as fast as possible. So I managed to hinder that part of his team. Later on in the game, both myself and Irvin, we made our own mistakes that may have cost us the game. Like for me, knowing that there's Bishop and Shard on the field, I still slowly move my Thanos. I declared mind control and I just realized that he was not within fire range, and yeah, so that was a waste of mind control. And later on, Irvin brought his team up with the Venom Magneto and miscalculated the squares, so he couldn't TK his Agatha up forward to use the marker on the rest of my team. So I managed to capitalize from that and managed to walk away with that with a victory as well. That was also a very hard fought match. And here comes the finals, where once again I'm up against Ben So, who I fought at my third round. Now Ben So won the map again. Now he also picked Krakoa. This match was, I have to say, was very stressful at the beginning because I knew any mistake I made could end the tournament for me, which means I'll walk away with second. But having played him in before the Swiss cut, I knew who I wanted to go for. I really wanted to go for the flashes first, and then to take out his I believe Alia Gregor as soon as I can, because having the Prime Wrecker to generate those bystanders with Alia Gregor's +1 to sets has been really painful during my third round. So managed to take care of that relatively fast, and I think by the 30th or 40-minute mark, I think around that time frame, what I have left was my Thanos, my Watcher, and he had Wrecker Prime, I think 1 bystander. He had his Red Sun, Lex Luthor, and Dr. Psycho on the other side of the map. So this was a very boring finals. I spent like the remaining of the time going over to mind control, push away his team, and run back. And I keep doing that whole sequence because I really didn't want to engage with the Red Sun Superman, Red Sun Lex Luthor in any combat, because I don't want him to generate the Red Sun Superman or Red Sun Green Lantern bystanders. I really didn't want to make a slip up and accidentally get those pox out, because I knew those pox can actually do quite a bit of damage and maybe even take out my Watcher, which would yeah, maybe not secure my victory. So yeah, a total of 5 matches. It was really fun. Pretty tiring day because we usually, my local group, we usually at most play 3 games per day. We don't really go beyond that. So yeah, I'm really happy to walk away as the Singapore national champion, and I'm really looking forward to maybe next year where we can have more overseas players come by. I did have some players from, I believe, Philippines who were messaging me about coming over, so I really welcome them, and yeah, and to keep this community growing. I really like to thank Mint TCG for organizing this event. Playing HeroClix for the past 20 years and finally having an official nationals tournament is really like a dream come true. And I'm really happy that I actually came back to HeroClix after my 4-year hiatus. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the bright future of HeroClix and to bring in more players for next year's nationals, as well as the upcoming tournaments that we're going to have for the rest of the year. Like Exo Swords is going to release in a couple of weeks' time, along with the Storyline OP tournament. I'm really looking forward to playing that as well. And yeah, so anyone out there who's going to play at the Gen Con US Nationals, or maybe the Worlds, the HeroClix Worlds tournament, wish you all good luck and yeah, crit hits with all your attacks. Thank you.